Excited for our next speakers. We've been able to sort of dive deep into the issue of modern slavery, human trafficking here in the United States. But our next speakers are going to give us a bit of a global perspective. We have Annie Kardas and Monica Boseff, who are doing tremendous work on these issues around the globe. Annie oversees global communications for the A21 campaign and looks after all internal communications between A21's 10 offices around the world, as well as the organization's external communications, ensuring that the heartbeat of A21 is clear and beating and strong. Annie has been with the A21 campaign from the beginning of the campaign and has worn many hats over the years, from helping to name the organization to assisting in establishing teams in each of the 9 countries where the A21 campaign currently has offices. While Annie is still unsure what her exact title really is, she loves the adventure of helping take the A21 campaign to new levels and bringing hope and justice around the world. Monica Boseff is the executive director of the Open Door Foundation, a driving force behind an emergency aftercare shelter specifically designed for female victims of human trafficking in Bucharest, Romania. In a country where government funding for survivor aftercare is limited, opening a shelter is a monumental undertaking. Yet, after surveying other organizations and speaking to government officials to properly understand the need, Ms. Boseff launched the emergency shelter, Open Door, in April of 2013. The shelter provides residents with medical, psychological, and social support, helping them heal physically, mentally, and emotionally. As a part of the recovery process, Ms. Boseff also designed and implemented a jobs skills training component to the program in coordination with the Starbucks Corporation, who hired Open Door graduates. Ms. Boseff is a tireless advocate for increasing resources to combat trafficking and assisting survivors. In 2014, she was given the Trafficking in Persons Report Hero Award by the United States Department of State. That's a major award, recognizing her incredible work with survivors of trafficking and abuse. Ms. Boseff is trained as a nurse, and prior to joining the Open Door Foundation, she worked for other medical nonprofit organizations, as well as for the Church of the Nazarene in Romania, where her husband, Chris, is the pastor of the Blessings Church of the Nazarene in Bucharest. Let's welcome Annie and Monica.
Hello. We're just working out some audio challenges here. My name is Annie Kardas. I'm with the A21 campaign. And
Monica Boseff from Bucharest, Romania.
And I'm actually based in Thessaloniki, Greece, and Monica is based in Romania. And we actually just met last night in person for the first time. But our organizations have been working together. And that's kind of what we want to highlight today, really, is the power of partnership. So what do we got up here? All right, we want to talk about why working together is really essential. Come over here. All right, as we have heard today, human trafficking is a global issue. We've really been focusing and talking a lot about what's happening right here in the United States, but we've heard that statistics, there isn't an exact number, but for keeping in line with everything, 27 million people, an estimated 27 million people in slavery around the world, the fastest growing crime on the planet, with 99% of the victims never being rescued. So there's obviously a very urgent need, and it's a global need. And so one of the things that we want to talk about, or really put a spotlight on today, is Europe. So as I said, I'm based in Greek, married to a very hot Greek man, and and Monica, as we said, is in Romania, and her husband is here somewhere as well.
The hottest man you can find in the room.
But one of the things we want to explain is the Schengen zone in Europe and why this is so important to understanding human trafficking and why it makes trafficking very easy. So I don't know if you can see it very well on the screen, but the Schengen zone is highlighted in blue, and it basically turns that part of Europe into, for lack of a better example, the United States, meaning you can travel in between those countries within that blue zone without having to get your passport stamped. You can very easily move in between the countries. And if you can see here, Greece is at the very bottom over here on the right. And it's surrounded by 5 different countries. None of them are within the Schengen zone. So it has become a major gateway for illegal immigration into the European Union, as well as human trafficking. So we put that up there just to kind of help you understand, one, why Greece is become a very hot place to really stopping the flow of human trafficking, with victims being brought in from other countries, predominantly the Eastern Bloc. However, we see victims coming in from everywhere. In our shelter in Greece, we work with survivors from over 20 different nationalities, which you can kind of get an understanding of the greatness of the issue there in terms of illegal immigration and trafficking. And one of the things that we're seeing as a trend in our shelter in Greece is that 40% of the victims that are coming through are actually Romanian. Now, I'm going to I feel like
Well, just in relation to what Annie was saying, Romania is unfortunately country number 1 in Europe as a destination country, transit, and also as a sending country for victims of human trafficking, whether we talk about sexual exploitation, labor trafficking, organ trafficking, and what's the newest trend, hormonal overstimulation.
So A21 today, we're an organization that is 7 years old, and my mind is absolutely blown by how fast things have grown. We now have 10 offices in 9 countries around the world, which, if you only knew what things were like when we first started, we really had no idea what we were doing. But it was one of those, all right, there is a need that needs to be met here. How can we step out and meet it? And one of the things I really want to highlight with this is that while we have 10 offices around the world, we don't have a cookie cutter model. We don't go in and go, okay, this is how we do it. This is how A21 fights human trafficking. Let's set up. We go in and we really ask the question, what is the greatest need here and how can we meet it? And it's really been doors opening, God just really opening incredible doors and through relationships and things like that, which has led to how the organization has grown so quickly. But you can't really see it very well on here, but I'm based in Greece, and like I said, we have 40% of the victims we're working with in our shelter in Greece coming from Romania, but we don't have an office in Romania, which is how we ended up coming across Monica and Open Door. So,
well, that's the beauty of it. This is what I love the most. We're not even from the same church, not even from the same denomination. But I believe with all my heart that this is where the beauty of working together stands. It's the fact that we are united in major truths, and in minor truths we have liberty, and our partnership is based on what unites us. It is amazing what we can do together. When we started our ministry in Romania, the first question I asked when I literally knocked on doors on different government institutions, I asked the question to every single one of them, what is the greatest need? Is human trafficking a problem in Romania? And if yes, how big? And what is the greatest need our country has? Because I believe with all my heart that as Christians, we ought to be standing out. We ought to address issues that others don't have the guts for, don't have the nerves for, they're too engrossed by. And every single one of them said to me, Romania doesn't have an emergency shelter. Okay, if that's what is needed, that's what will open. So here we are.
So you can see we kind of have the same heartbeat in where we really want to come in and meet the greatest need. And when you come in with that kind of a heart and not, here we are, we're going to fight human trafficking because we know everything, but really going, how can we serve? How can we come alongside? What can we do? It's amazing what kind of doors are open and how people are then, the guards go down and they're like, okay, all right, you can help. Here's a list of different areas of where you can help. So one of the ways, the umbrella with which we work with Open Door is under a SAFE project. And that's one umbrella, one arm of A21. And it's basically dealing with survivors that have come into our care and they need to be repatriated. Most times it is back to their home country. And we're continuously creating this network of different organizations where we can find people like Monica and Open Door with like heart, who we can entrust the care of a life of a survivor to go, okay, will you come alongside them for the next step in their journey to freedom? And the SAFE, well, I'll spare you from reading through all those things, but it's basically like coming alongside the survivor and helping them to basically join hands with another organization to take that next step.
So you have a list of the services that we provide. What we provide, what do we offer, what do we do? It's actually what we do and what we offer to our own family members, to the loved ones. On the day of the inauguration of our shelter, I've had all these government officials that I've talked to before who were present there, and they came and visited the whole place, top to bottom. At the end, they came to me and said, Ms. Boseff, we really want you to know that this is the best place our country's ever had. I said, thank you. But, you know, and they kind of, you know, took me aside and whispered in my ear, but, you know, this is a little too much. This is too good. So I'm like, okay. Basically, you're telling me that had it been your daughter or your niece to be trafficked, you would bring her to me, right? Because it's the place our country has. But then you would take me aside to whisper in my ear that I'm giving too much to your kid? That the services we provide are too good for your loved one? Well, we can't really put it this way. Why not? Why do you think our loved ones are so much more precious than the ones we haven't met yet? I said, we told you from the very beginning when I first walked into your office that this is who we are. God called us. The standards and the principles that run this place do not belong to us. They're God's. So you only have two options, take it or leave it. Oh, we'll take it. So they took it.
Monica's an absolute legend. Like, after meeting her last night in person and just getting to, like, share some stories, I told her just a little bit ago, I'm honored to meet her. Like, you need to spend some time with her in some of the breaks and just hear her heart. She's incredible. The next slide, I think there's one slide that's missing, but it talks about how you can't play a symphony with just one person, basically, it was a quote. And one of the things, like I said at the beginning, we really want to highlight is the power of partnership and really working together and recognizing the fact that this is a massive global issue. And if we really want to be serious about fighting it, we've got to work together. And I know there's an example that you wanted to share.
Exactly. Over a year ago, I was at a conference on the issue of victims' protection and security. And Europol and Interpol police representatives were there. And they put up a picture on the screen, and to be honest, from a distance, not having my glasses on, I thought I was looking at the map of London. It was so intricate and, you know, all these dots connected. And you know how it's well known around the world that they say if a taxi driver wants to be a professional taxi driver, he needs to take his driving license in London. So I thought, wow, that's interesting. Why am I staring at that? And then when they zoomed in, to my total shock, I was staring at the Romanian criminal network. The reason I was shocked was that before, in the past, trafficking domains were clearly separated. They did not interfere, they did not overlap. So human trafficking was right here with its own little territory, drug trafficking right here with its little domain. And over here you had the kingdom of gun trafficking. And they did not share anything. Do you know how this now? It was interesting when Chris mentioned that, you know, traffickers share no borders. This is how it is right now. They know, everybody knows everybody. They share everything. They share knowledge, information, assets. And by the way, humans are among their assets. They share everything, and they have no problems in doing this. They're not interested, you know, what is your area of expertise, or, you know, I'm sorry, but, you know, I don't think I want to mess with you. No, they join hands, they join efforts, and they know exactly what they have to do. And to be honest, for the rest of the conference, my brain shut down because I thought, good Lord, these are Satan's hand and feet at work. Where are we? What are we doing? So being here, being together, the moment we join hands with A21, I thought, okay, we're on the right track. Okay, we can do this. And you know why we can do this? It's because we claim to be connected to the source of life itself, to the one who made everything out of nothing. Do you think they know they want to stand against us? Right. But there's no way they will.
It's a fireball. One of the things we want to leave you with is a story of a survivor, the first one that we actually worked together on. And we're going to call her Anna. But Anna first came into A21's care in Greece. She had been trafficked from Romania in a lover boy scenario where this guy tricked her into basically thinking that he was in love with her and said that, come to Greece with me, we can have a better life together. Got her into Greece, and basically she was out of an environment where she was uncomfortable, didn't know the language, didn't know the surroundings, and he basically sexually trafficked her and labor trafficked her for 4 months. After 4 months, she managed the courage to escape and ran to the police. And the police called us, and she came into our care. When she came to us, she was actually 3 months pregnant. Had gotten pregnant. She didn't even know who the father was. And basically, we helped her through that journey of pregnancy. She had the baby while she was in our care. We were able to find an incredible couple that wanted to take the baby in for adoption, and Anna wanted to give the baby up in hopes that the baby could have a better life. And it was time for Anna to go back to Romania, to go back to her home country. And we knew that she wasn't yet in a place where she could completely walk alone. She needed people to come alongside her. So that's when we went searching to find anybody that could come alongside her. And by the grace of God, we found Monica and Open Door. And the story from there only gets better.
I literally like the picture. That's not her picture, but that's actually what you can see on her face right now, a big white smile. She is, when she came to us, she just didn't know how to read and write. Over a period of a few months, she learned how to read and write. We enrolled her in school. She went straight to 3rd grade after being tested initially. And a few months later, I got a call from the director of the school telling me that the professors have a really hard time keeping up with her. Therefore, they skipped over 3rd grade, topics. They're into 4th grade topics. And, please, just wait until the fall, and she's going to go straight into 5th grade. She is one of the most amazing person I have ever met. She has a job right now. And most amazing, this is great stuff. And every time we talk about, how do we do things, we talk about God's perfection. And it's not complete, the work is not complete until you touch the soul of that person. And Christ touched this person's soul in an amazing way. She had been, in early childhood, she had been severely abused by her own family. The mother was the one who would beat the fire out of her. The father started abusing her sexually when she was really young. And her sister was the one, actually, who was the first one who sold her into slavery. On Easter Sunday, Anna turned around to me after the service was over, and she said, Moni, do you know what I want to do? I really have this, and I know God just confirmed this today. I want to go. I want you, and there's a couple in our church, good evangelists, to go with me to my home village because I want my family to know Christ. Now, if you ask me, getting her an education is amazing. Giving her a job is one amazing thing. But the fact that she learned the most important lesson in life, to forgive the ones who had been not just abused and abused you beyond description, but just torn you to pieces. That is the most amazing thing that will really make the difference in her life and in all the lives around her. So this is where she is right now.
And it's amazing. She's a completely different person from when she first came into our care. It's absolutely amazing. So the last thing we just want to say is just to give you a picture of the power of unity and working together. Can you imagine if on a Sunday morning you emptied out all the pews in the churches and you filled them with members of mafia who we're up against daily in this fight against human trafficking? But can you imagine if you emptied the church of Christians and you filled it with mafia members? They're meeting once a week, every week. How long do you think it would take before this entire world would be drastically changed? Now, let's take the mafia back out and let's put the Christians back in. Christians who are working in every different area of workplace, from baristas to mechanics to students to doctors. We are actually perfectly positioned around the planet, within our communities, within the structures that we have to go out and to make a difference. But what it is going to take, and what the mafia has learned, and what Monica was talking about with her example of that map of Romania, when we work together is when we actually get dangerous. And if we can understand that there might be 27 million slaves on the planet, but there are actually 2.3 billion Christians. And so if you look at it from just that perspective, we outnumber slavery 85 to 1. And if we can start really working together, imagine the difference that we can make.
We just saw two real-life freedom fighters. Let's give them another round of applause.